Hey guys, so I am so excited to have this car in my garage. I would say it's pretty much my favorite variant of the 911. It's a track car, it's a street car, it has the sleek, omnipresent view of the 911 silhouette, it has the wing, it has the sporty front, it has a slightly different interior than most of the 911 range, it doesn't have the back seats. There are so many things to love about this car. It is absolutely gorgeous. So another thing that we can thank the 996 generation for, in addition to saving Porsche from being bought out and potentially financial ruin, is the introduction of the GT3, the GT3 RS, the GT2, and the GT2 RS. Before the 996, we had CSs, we had RSs, we didn't have the GT3. The first 996 GT3 came with about 355 horses and did 0 to 60 in just less than 5 seconds. In comparison, that's pretty much what my own C2 991 does today. It comes with 350 horses, I've had it tuned, I've got a different exhaust, so it probably puts out a little bit more than 350. It does 0 to 60 with the PDK in about 4.5 seconds. So my 991 today, the base Carrera, performs like the GT3 did, at least on paper. I'm sure the feel was completely different. But when it was first introduced with the 996 generation, and then throughout each iteration since, it's been gaining power, it's been getting faster, and just like the rest of the 911 range, its exterior has been changing as well. The wing on the back of this one looks different from the previous generation, the 997 and the one before it, the 996. This is a truly magnificent car. So some of the things that I love about this GT3, I love the fact that it has the flat six naturally aspirated engine. This engine howled. Sounds very similar to my own 991, which is naturally aspirated. Mine's a 3.4 liter engine, I believe it is. This is 3.8. This puts out 475 horses with 325 foot-pounds of torque. And like I said, with the PDK, it does 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds, 3 and change. Absolutely phenomenal. But the naturally aspirated engine, to me, sounds so much better than the turbocharged variants. And what I love about the GT3 is that it seems to be maintaining its naturally aspirated engine through the generations, even though the rest of the Porsche range are moving to the twin turbocharged engines. So you still get that naturally aspirated engine with this model. So that sounds fantastic. There is a GT3 RS, just like there is a GT2 RS. The GT3 RS is a little bit louder. You get the fancier colors, you get the bigger airplane kind of looking wing on the back, which is even bigger than this. You get 4 liters and 500 horses instead of 3.8 liters and 475. When you go to the second generation 991, the GT3 comes with 500 horses and does around 3.5 seconds, 0 to 60. The GT3 RS comes with over 500. I think it's around 518 or 520 or thereabouts, and does 0 to 60 in about 3.2 with the PDK. So it continues to get faster. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with the 992 generation. I don't know yet for sure exactly what it's going to look like. It would look, I imagine, pretty similar to the way the Aero kit looks. And if you have seen any of my videos with my friend Chris and his red 992 C4S with the Aero kit, I imagine it's going to look pretty similar to that. But I can't wait to see what that looks like. But here it is. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video with this exact car. Pretty quick one. I only had the car overnight. I was doing a favor for the owner, installing the Joy Auto Apple CarPlay mod into the PCM unit. This time I've got it for the weekend, and I'm doing a slightly more complicated job in that I'm installing a backup cam, which requires removing the rear bumper and feeding the wire through to the front. So I've got the car for the weekend. That's about 4 to 6 hours worth of work. And the owner very kindly, again, has given me the opportunity to make a video. I'm going to get it out on the road. Now, what I'm excited to do is to put this alongside my 991 Carrera 2 and do a comparison. Of course, we know that this is going to absolutely crush my Carrera. But what about the sound of the exhaust? I have a couple of friends now that own these GT cars, and they've told me that they prefer the sound of my Soul Performance valved exhaust on my Carrera over the Porsche sports exhaust on their GT3. I think that's pretty awesome. In fact, I'm going to try and put this owner in contact with Soul Performance because he's already commented about how much he likes my exhaust. But I think that'll make for a really interesting video. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I'll prefer the sound of my Soul Performance exhaust. It really is phenomenal. But that's not to take anything away from the sound of this exhaust, because it is absolutely wonderful. When you turn the engine on, the cold start, you hear that analog roar kind of growl. And then of course, when you start taking off and the valves open, or you put it in PDK sports mode, this thing gets off the leash and it's just insane. It's like a bottle rocket. It just explodes. So that's going to be an interesting video. But since we've got it in the garage, I just wanted to take a walk around and show you, for those who don't know, what makes the GT3 different from the rest of the range. So first off, obviously, is the wing. I mean, look, this massive fixed wing on the back. The 911 Carreras, the S's don't come with this. They still have the deck lid that automatically comes up and down. This is the fixed wing. The RS has a slightly different and bigger wing. Down at the front, you see that we've got the sport front fascia. And in addition to the slightly different dimensions on the front of the grille, we also have the vent, the front grille insert in the top of the bumper, which helps draw in more air into the radiator and help with cooling. We then have the center lock wheels. We've got the satin platinum wheels here. These are GT3 specific. You see the design is GT3. You got GT3 on the center locking wheels, and that's another difference here with this GT car. You've got those center locking wheels as opposed to the 5 lug nuts that I have on mine and many other 911s come with. The brake caliper, massive. The braking abilities of this particular car are far superior to my Carrera. As we come back, you start to see some other variations from the rest of the range. The wing mirror here is slightly different. You got the gap in the middle. Mine don't have. This one I think is specific to the GT cars, not just the GT3, but the GT cars. The interior is interesting. The inside of this doesn't have rear seats. With the RS, you got the roll cage. There are quite a few people that put the roll cages into the GT3s, but out of the factory, unless you option it, they just come without the rear seats. It kind of makes it feel a little bit more spacious. I actually prefer that. The seats in the back of my C2, waste of time. You know, they carry my bottles of water. Occasionally, I give my son Luke a ride when we put the car seat in. But I like the rear seat delete. Now, the GTS and the GT3 come with Alcantara. I'm really not a fan of the Alcantara. And let's talk a little bit more about the interior. So the interior is really nice looking, don't get me wrong. The GT3 looks pretty similar to the rest of the 911 range with a few changes. You got the notch at the top of the steering wheel. Actually, this one doesn't, but a lot of them do come with a notch at the top of the steering wheel. But you've got an Alcantara steering wheel. You've got Alcantara center for your seats. And then the door panels are pretty much the same, but then you also have the Alcantara on the armrests and the door handles. And I don't know if you know too much about Alcantara. There's a great Nick Murray video about this, but it's essentially a synthetic fiber, and it's a lot cheaper than leather, but Porsche charge a premium for it. Why would you put an inferior product into a car that, you know, even this used car is arguably twice the value of the base Carrera? I prefer the leather interior that I have to this Alcantara. It's ridiculous. If I could get a GT3 without the Alcantara, I would be a happy guy. It feels softer, okay. Maybe thinking about being on the track, it's going to hold you into the seat a little better than leather, which it kind of does. You know, you get a little bit of friction when you put a hold of it. But it's kind of like holding toweling material. I really don't like it. Plus, the worst thing is that it doesn't wear very well. Pretty quickly, and already we can see here on this wheel, it started to shine up just because of it's being touched constantly. And although leather does shine up after a while, it doesn't do it anywhere nearly as quickly as the Alcantara does. But if you can get by and past the Alcantara, you get the deviated stitching, you get the GT3 stitching on the headrest, you get the center console, which looks very similar to the, you know, to the rest of the range. This particular model comes with the PCM unit and comes with air conditioning. I believe with the RS, you have to add it back in. The RS, to save weight, doesn't come with air conditioning, doesn't come with the PCM. In fact, the RS doesn't even give you the plastic or the faux metal door pulls. It just gives you a fabric door pull to get in and out. Also, other interesting fact, with the GT3 RS and the GT2 RS, the emblem on the front isn't real. Again, to save those precious few grams for the track. Same with the lettering on the back. It's a decal as opposed to being an emblem. The GT3 RS and the GT2 RS come with a lot more carbon fiber, again, to bring that weight down, and you also see the price kind of skyrocket. This GT3 is very similar to the rest of the 911 range, where, you know, it just essentially comes with the aluminum and the steel or whatever the materials are that they make the panels out of. I don't think there is actually any carbon fiber in this particular GT3, which I've got to say is disappointing, because if you know me, you know that I like a bit of carbon fiber. But it has the brushed aluminum interior, or aluminium, sorry for my English counterparts, my English friends, which I think looks really good on this interior, but I think carbon fiber would just give it that extra little bit of sizzle. But the interior, you know, generally speaking, it still looks like the 911 range. You can put the bucket seats in this. The GT3 RS comes, I think, standard with the bucket seats. Certainly a lot of people who get them have the bucket seats, and especially the RS package as well, which adds some extra sort of individualization into the interior, as well as some of the tuning and the way the engine is put together and suspension. This has the PASM, so this suspension stiffens. It feels very different to drive actually than my Carrera, which doesn't have PASM. It feels a lot tighter on the road, and I think, you know, even though I think to the casual eye, a 911 is a 911 is a 911, but the driving experience is really different. It's still a flat six engine. It's still a 3-something liter engine. It's still rear wheel driven. It's still a 911. It's around the same kind of dimensions and weight, but the way the power is delivered, the way it handles around corners, to the Porsche enthusiast like myself, you really do feel the difference. So I think if I could have, you know, my dream car, the GT3 would definitely be on the list. Now, on that particular point, the GT3 RS, I'm hoping to be able to get one in the garage in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to see what that looks like alongside this. The GT3, I think, would be my car, my dream car, but I also really like the 911R. They're a little harder to get hold of, a little more collectible. They still have the naturally aspirated engine, but no, I mean, let's face it, the GT3 is absolutely gorgeous. So that's it for another video. Thanks for checking in. Hit me up in the comments below. What do you think about the GT3? I feel like if I say that word anymore, my head's going to explode. I love this car. I absolutely love this car. We're going to get it out on the road. We're going to do a comparison against my 991 in terms of the exhaust, listening to what they sound. let's get the drone up, let's go take it out for a drive, and let's just see this thing doing what it's supposed to do, which is rocketing down the road. More videos coming soon. We've got comparison videos between the 991 base and this. Project 996 is still moving along. We're probably not going to get the car ready by Labor Day because it's taking a couple of weeks longer to go through the painting process than we had planned. But that should be coming back to the garage soon. So still a couple of months left of the driving season, loads more content to make. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, buy a t-shirt, whatever it is, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Thanks, bye.